I look up to Misty Copeland. She's the first black dancer at American Ballet of Theater, because I want to be a dancer, and I know it's hard because a lot of colored people don't get the role that they want in a certain part that they're playing because they're looking for a specific ideal dancer. So it's kind of hard in the dance industry, but she has gotten a lot accomplished in her life.
I think you meant people of color.
What did I say?
Colored people. We don't use that word.
We don't use colored people. I look up to black women like Michelle Obama, just the way, all that she has accomplished in her life. She has paved the way to kind of show us that, you can, be educated, and you can reach mountains and goals, and the sky's the limit, basically. Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey, these are all women that I look up to. President Barack Obama.
She kind of named a lot, but I bring it a little closer to home. I look at Mayor Valau's, who's a female and black. Like Kamala Harris carried two stones too, female and black. And being the professional that I am, and how I was educated and all of that, it was always a battle because I was the first woman in most cases. I was the first black woman. So I know what it's like for black women to carry two burdens and to be accepted. It's a struggle, and it's still a struggle. But then I have to bring it down a little bit. I look at my mother and my grandmother, who's now deceased, who were strong black women. When you had to have a poll tax and you couldn't vote if you were illiterate, my grandmother always said, God created us equal. Walk tall, keep your head up. My mother had us out there at young ages. She was worked for the Women's Voters League. She did all those things. We knocked on doors at 8, 9, and 10 years old. So I look at my ancestors. My mother's still living. She's 90 years old. But she is a very important people in the generations. For me, in my household, we did a lot of reading. It was required by my parents and my grandparents. So we always had access to books. And then in public school, I was fortunate enough to go to a black public school that had a great library, and having all black teachers, because we weren't integrated at that time. We were encouraged to read. It's a little different now because we did not have a whole lot of black people to look up to or to know about, because it wasn't written in the history books. As I'm 70, so it wasn't written. So we had to learn from what our parents, grandparents, and other generations shared with us.
For me, we celebrated it with our family. They didn't really teach us in school. We usually do like one assignment in our civics class, but we don't do anything else in English, or we never read about it. And if we do read about it, it's about the same people like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. Like I was at school the other day and nobody knew who Malcolm X was and nobody knew who Nelson Mandela was. And I was just amazed because they don't teach it in school. We have to learn it on our own with our families.
My childhood and growing up, we were encouraged, like my mother was saying, to read. We always had bookshelves full of books. So reading was just a part of our everyday behavior characteristics. So when Black History Month came, that was more of the time to re-reflect on what we have learned growing up, some of the traditions in the Black community, with the church being very instrumental in my upbringing during oratorical contests and speeches and reciting quotes from historical Black figures like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and different people. So Black History, yeah, it's a month, but for us growing up, it was part of our everyday walk.
One of the things that really affected me was when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. I was still in school. And naturally we're upset, we're crying, and we're walking home. And the people in there were laughing and saying it's about time that N was put down. I won't ever forget that. That made me at that point to understand what my grandmother was teaching us. God created you all equal. Walk tall, keep your head up. What my mom said to us, God created you. You do your best. And I said to myself then, I will show them that you cannot block me. I will use you as my stepping stone. Just give me that chance and I will do it. If you don't give me that chance, I'm still going to take it. And that's the motto I've kind of lived by. I was always, I was called a radical. I was this, that. I didn't care because I knew what I could do. I knew who I belonged to. God created me just like he created all of us. But that really affected me.
For me, the Black Lives Matter movement that happened in 2020 with the injustice going on with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and all of those people in that area, it was very eye-opening that I noticed what type of world we live in and the injustice that's going on in the system, the government system.
Seeing the first black president get elected twice, that was a turning point in my life because now I get to see someone that looks like me hold the biggest office, the most prestigious role of this country. So that just opens doors for our people. That just shows us there's nothing that you cannot do.